the biggest piece of news that impacted you for 2008? Biggest piece of news? The Mumbai attacks. Yeah.
Obama won.
Obama's victory in the American election.
You know, the subprime crisis.
Okay.
Then Lehman Brothers closing down everything. Yeah.
Alright, so the Lehman Brothers bankruptcy, that's on top of your mind.
Yeah.
Has it affected you, the crisis?
Not yet. Because I'm still studying.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very lucky for you. And what's your New Year wish for year 2009?
Okay, I wish that the economy will take a better turn up. Yeah.
Alright.
And then we'll have more disposable income.
Alright, okay.
So that we can all go shopping more.
Happy New Year! Thanks for joining us on this public holiday. I know you guys are probably waiting to go out.
Getting ready to go out.
Yeah, getting ready to go out, yes,
Or
that's
just
good.
came back from a night of party.
Yeah, resting at home.
What, if just came
That's
back?
Amanda and Poh Kwan, by the way. They are party animals.
Okay, I'm Kai Ling. She is.
Amanda.
Here's Daryl.
And this is Poh Kwan, of course.
Hey.
And for today, she's
My name.
That's it. Anyway,
What's Pokes?
Okay, today we have a very special episode of Point Blank, and as you can see, these are the people you see at 8 p.m. almost every night. What are we going to do today? Amanda?
Amanda, go.
We're going to bring you all the highlights or interesting events that took place in 2008.
Yes, so let's have a look at this clip first.
Making our list at number 5, a scientific term that has been on the lips of Singaporeans and others around the world literally, and that's melamine. Following the melamine scandal in China, which saw thousands of young children sickened by the chemical, Singapore got its own taste of the potentially deadly substance. First, it was in our white rabbit candies, then it was found in our chocolates and biscuits. While most of these were made in China, further checks found that even foodstuff that were produced in Malaysia and Indonesia may not be that safe either. At number 4, an unwelcome incident at the Singapore Zoo put the attraction's safety record into question. In November, a 32-year-old zoo cleaner from Sarawak made the news when he did a most bizarre thing. He climbed into the white tiger enclosure and baited the animals using a pail and a broom before being mauled to death by the big cats. All this in full view of unsuspecting zoo visitors who thought it was all a show. His death sparked a heated debate on whether the Singapore Zoo was safe. In the wake of Mr. Nordin's death, the zoo is mulling over new moves like installing alarms at dangerous animal enclosures, which guests or staff can trigger. At number 3, another Singapore attraction takes a beating. December 23rd will forever be remembered as the day the flyer stood still. Just 2 days before Christmas, the Singapore flyer ground to a halt after a fire broke out in the control room, leading to a short circuit. The flyer stopped mid-flight at about 4:50 p.m. with some 170 people trapped in its 28 capsules. 3 hours later, 11 passengers were lowered using rope harnesses. The world's largest observation wheel only started spinning again more than 6 hours later at 11:10 p.m. While all the passengers touched down safely, questions arose about the contingency plans. Many were shocked that the only way down was via harness, while others wondered why it took so long for the flyer to spin back into action. The flyer has been grounded since. Not a very happy new year for Singapore's latest attraction and its tenants. At number 2, a terror attack in Mumbai turned out to be closer to home. In November, terrorists attacked the Oberoi Trident Hotel and Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, killing some 200. Among them was Singaporean lawyer Ms. Loh Hui Yen, who was in Mumbai on a business trip. Following the attack, Senior Minister Goh Chok Tong reminded Singaporeans to be vigilant to prevent such attacks from happening in our own backyard.
Also, Singapore, we've got to be vigilant, but it's beyond our control. In Singapore, we've got to be sure that something like this will never happen.
And making it to the top of our list for its downward spiral, the economy. Warnings of the collapse of the US economy has been brewing for a while as people chalked up bad debts from subprime loans. And the stick that broke the camel's back, the collapse of Lehman Brothers. Slowly, others came forward for help, leading to bailouts of institutions like insurance giant AIG and Citigroup. Singapore was not spared. Following news of AIG's troubles, Singaporeans thronged its offices here asking for answers.
Everything has been put on verbally, but do you think you can secure the common folks?
I find that this type of thing is like to stabilize the publicity, right? So, to play safe, I just take it out,
In November, Singapore's own DBS Bank laid off 900 workers from its operations here and Hong Kong. And just yesterday, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong warned of a difficult year ahead as layoff figures could surpass the peak of 30,000 during the 98 Asian financial crisis. But he assured Singaporeans that the government will intensify its efforts to help companies and citizens cope. The details will be in the budget to be unveiled on January 22nd. Now that's something Singaporeans can definitely look forward to. 2008 has been a turbulent year, but as they say, when you are down, there's only one way you can go, and that's up. So here's to a better 2009.
So, guys, from the five, what stood out most for, any of you?
Okay, for me, it's the melamine scare.
Why, you couldn't eat your Hello Panda?
Yeah, my Hello Panda was at risk. No,
and I couldn't eat my Julie cracker.
No, I think it's a lot to do with the fact that, with China becoming a very big manufacturing body, right? And the fact that I think a lot of people have the misconception that China does have a lot of means of production and they do take a lot of shortcuts.
They do.
Yeah. I mean, they do lah, but sometimes it's not only that. Like, okay, for melamine, it all started with like the poor farmers who didn't really have, didn't have the knowledge, and they started substituting with this melamine thing to up the protein count,
weren't the culprits actually the middlemen?
No,
in
actually,
this case,
the culprits were everybody along the whole process.
From the whole
they had a blind eye to it, even though they knew that something was going wrong, because the original perpetrator, which was probably the farmer, didn't know that this will kill babies.
But they,
and all that in the end.
Do you think they are so innocent? I mean, these are materials that you use to make plastics. If you add it in food, it's going to cause harm to babies.
I know. But the thing is that a lot of people don't have the education that all of us have. So to take it for granted that everybody knows that melamine is generally bad for health, and I think it's just a bit of a stretch. Okay. But I just think that China is coming up.
Yeah, I think nowadays you really can't run away from anything that is made in China. Anything and everything is made in China, from clothes, toys, and melamine was specific this time to food. But I think previously it involved toys as well, right?
Yeah, it went to pet food as well.
And the thing is that because you see all the headlines that are coming up after the scare,
people
Cadbury,
started checking everything, right?
And Cadbury was affected, and New Zealand was affected, and so many other countries were affected, which is like a very globalized sort of means of production. So nowadays, if something or somewhere, some country sort of messes things up, the rest of us have hell to pay for, So that's my big thing.
What about you, Poh Kwan? What stood out for you among this five?
For me, I think it would be the Mumbai incident. Yeah, because it just makes us aware that security lapses could happen really close to home. It's no longer just in the Middle East. It could happen, in India, in a very advanced city, in a very beautiful hotel, and you can have a Singaporean casualty.
Yep. Yeah. I think I was. Oh, sorry, Amanda.
No, Amanda has a lot to say. Sorry.
I was just adding to her point because I covered the funeral, of the terror victim. So you could really feel like everybody. Although they may not know her, but everybody feels like they are directly linked in a way because we're all Singaporeans.
Is it also partly because people feel like this could happen to any of us?
Yeah. It's just a business trip, and you only intend to stay for a day in that hotel.
Yeah, last time it used to be terror attacks, maybe in the US and somewhere far, and now it
seems to be getting nearer.
And I think all these crises and things that could happen to anybody, and Singaporeans generally have a very, I guess because our everyday life is so safe. Sometimes we don't know that there's danger lurking and all that.
Take things for granted, right?
Yeah, and even today, like the poor guy that passed away in the Thailand fire,
the nightclub.
So I think these things are unforeseen and very tragic. But still, Singaporeans, everybody should just be very aware and try
and
to
be vigilant, like what SM Go said.
And don't put down your gun just because it's a festive season or a festive break.
All right, moving on. Amanda.
Yeah.
Amanda.
What is your pick?
I have to
Only 5 lah.
Yeah.
Pick one.
But Amanda is a very, she's a very picky person. Such good choices.
Selective.
Yeah. So what's your pick, Amanda?
Okay, I'll pick the Tiger Mouse Man at the Singapore Zoo. I guess that's kind of shocking in a way. Like as you said, Singapore is a very safe country, and like how come things like that can actually happen here? Like nobody expected something.
But I think this case was kind of different, right? I think all of us from reports and all that generally get the idea that the guy was courting death.
So it's not really an accident.
I mean, we're not saying that he deserves it, but he definitely put himself out there to be.
But that also sort of affects our reputation.
Yeah.
The Singapore Zoo.
It was interesting because when all the images and videos that came out came from like foreigners and not like Malaysians or Indonesians, but like German guys, Dutch people who took pictures and videos of it.
I think that's very important because like the first footage that we had of it was from somebody's phone, and that's very interesting because that's the way like media is changing and all that. So I mean, from the ground up.
That's right. Instead of top bottom, it's like going the other way.
Top down.
Yeah, top down approach.
That's right. How about you, Kai Ling?
Actually, I think I will go with recession and more specifically mini bonds.
Yeah.
Because previously I was working at SC.com, so every day when like Lehman Brothers collapsed, it was like back-to-back updates. We have so many stories on the US economy, then subsequently the Singapore economy. And
it was very traumatizing for you.
It was just traumatizing for me because I couldn't
keep
even have
updating.
time to go for breaks. You're just like constantly updating everything. Then came the bailout, which was very exciting in a way because every day we were sort of waiting for it to happen. The US $700 billion bailout. And then they delayed it. Then they went to the Senate, went to the House, to and fro, blah, blah, blah. And then finally it happened. They were like, finally.
That's the end of the story. I don't have to do any more
Actually, no lah.
Yeah.
So then mini bonds was interesting because a lot of people were very quick to point fingers at relationship managers. But I've said this, I think, quite a few times in Paper Card and all that. I don't really think that these people were really at fault. I mean, some may have oversold the product, but it was Lehman Brothers. Nobody expected it to go down. Nobody expected an institution like that to crash.
Yeah, I actually met some like insurance
you were
agents
at AIA, right?
on the streets, and they were telling me actually, the reports in the papers are all about how consumers have suffered huge losses, but they also have suffered huge losses because not only because like there are no more new customers, even their existing customers are trying to keep up their policies. Yeah.
I think it's not just monetary, it's also a lot on reputation. Some of these people really worked hard and they really know their product and they sell it to you. And I'm sorry, but consumers like me and you, I mean, we're all a bit greedy, right? If you can put something in FD for I don't know how many percent and get something else for 5%, you would go for it and take the risk. And if you did your own research on Lehman Brothers, you will go like, yes, sure bet, right? But of course, there's no such thing.
But I think for me, it was this one article that stood out was Si Yong from New Paper, and he wrote something talking about the plight of an old person, this old woman, and she invested in the high notes and all that. And that really got to me because it was a very personality piece, and it just very sort of paint the picture that the elderly really didn't know. I mean, even though like for us, like we can say like, okay, Kai Ling, you're greedy, I am greedy,
Daryl,
we are all greedy. But for the elderly, they probably thought like, oh, safe bet, nest egg can only grow.
Mini born, right? Doesn't sound that risky.
No, but I'm sorry, I sort of feel like I have to speak up for relationship managers. I don't know why. But I mean, as far as I know,
are you moonlighting, Kai Ling?
I wish
you have time for that.
Not in this economic downturn, though.
No, but I do know of relationship managers who tell me like, when it's an elderly couple, they do make sure that they have somebody to read the documents for them. Like let's say their grandchildren or their children to read the stuff for that, and these people are like graduates and all that, you know. So I think it has to compensation when it comes to this has to go case by case, but it's going to be a lot of work because there's so many consumers who come out and then they are they know what to say. They know like they told me this. I don't know. I just signed. Yeah. So then missold.
But at least, I mean, the MAS is doing something. Yeah, they're forming like an independent panel to look at how these cases are handled, you know, and make sure that they don't just go by the legality aspect.
Yeah, but it goes by the whole cycle thing, and there's always going to be new regulations as, you know, the boom and bust evolves. But anyway...
not only consumer must beware, the seller must also beware. Okay, and now... We'll go
to Razor TV's top 5 sporting moments when we come back.
Yeah. Happy New Year to everyone in Singapore, I guess, and everyone else. You know, like for me as a musician, I work with a lot of people in other countries in Southeast Asia, and I really miss them. You know, and my wishes for Singapore, you know, I hope our music industry becomes as happening as theirs. And you know, let's. I mean, I hope we get over the economic recession as well. So spend money, you know, spend money for the government. Okay, Happy New Year, everyone.
Well, I wish everybody that 2009 be filled with love, joy, warmth, peace, and lots of abundance. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from In Queens and Jean.